It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the FinSide. It ain't the left side.
Thank you, Solo D. Welcome to another episode of On the FinSide here with Kat and Paul. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and on Spotify. Check out our merch store on thefinside.threadless.com. The Dolphins have made their first seventh-round selection, pick number 233, acquired in a trade from the Titans, where the Dolphins got this year's seventh, next year's fourth, in exchange for Tannehill and I believe it was a sixth-round pick. Yeah, sixth-round pick, pick number 188 this year. So in the Dolphins' last mock, I actually had them taking a fullback in the seventh round, and that guy was Alex Ingold from Wisconsin. And believe it or not, Dolphins didn't take a Wisconsin player. Had a chance to and did not. They took Van Ginkel and Michael Dieter earlier in the draft. But Chandler Cox out of Auburn here, not a player that we talked a whole heck of a lot about, but makes a lot of sense here. I mean, he ran a 4.7 40. He's played for a big college. He's 6'1", 236 pounds. But more importantly, Paul, I think this selection of Chandler Cox shows that the Dolphins are bringing more of that Patriot-style offense to Miami, because we haven't seen a fullback here over the last couple of years. And now they had James Devlin at fullback, and I see them utilizing one, whether it's Cox or somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, Miami's had a tendency to just bump a tight end into the backfield, and they really started that a lot with Michael Agnew, which I know a lot of Dolphins fans will cringe at. But in reality, I mean, Chandler Cox is a fullback by trade, but he also did play a little bit of tailback. I believe he occasionally ran the Wildcat for Auburn. And one of the big things I know I said a lot in our pre-draft coverage was, we didn't really have a running back that when all you needed was a yard, you could count on to get a yard. And while Cox may not be somebody that's going to plow the pile, he does have a knack for finding that little bit of a crease, even if he's got to drop his pads down low and shoot through people's feet to get that 1 yard. And that could be something that's absolutely critical for this Dolphins offense. We've saw it too many times over the past too many years, I'll go with. I won't even give an exact number because it's been too many goddamn years, where Miami was in a third and short and could not convert. And this is a guy that he may have a specialized role, but I think Dolphins fans are going to like him too, because he plays with a lot of emotion out on the field, and he's probably going to be that guy that can dip his head, dip his pads, and dive through for that yard or two when Miami needs it in short yardage. And if he's able to do even just that, along with his overachieving when it comes to blocking, because like I said, he's not the largest guy on the field, but he puts his all into it, which is, I'll take it. He could be a guy that finds a role.
He reminds me a lot, when I watched him, he reminds me a lot of former Dolphin Rob Conrad. And people may cringe at that too, but keep in mind, because overall he was a disappointment, but Rob Conrad also started for the Dolphins in the backfield at fullback for 4 or 5 years, and he turned into a very good blocker, and Cox is already a good blocker. He does have hands out of the backfield, maybe not as good as Conrad's, but still very serviceable catching the passes out of the backfield. But he looks a lot, and he runs a lot lighter than what his listed weight is of 6'1", 236 pounds. This is a player who ran a 4.7 40, so it's not some plugging guard type of player in the backfield. And they used him all over the place. They used him a fullback. They used him at tight end. He didn't touch the ball a whole heck of a lot, only had 14 touches last year, but 3 of them were touchdowns too. So, a very, very well-rounded, very interesting here, but more importantly, the fact that the Dolphins are one of the only teams that are going to use a fullback this year really limits the market to be able to get one of the best ones in this draft. Trayvon Wesco was taken in the 4th round by the Jets. They could use him at fullback as well. But after that, Chandler Cox appeared to be one of the top-rated guys on the Dolphins board.
Yeah, and I will say, I know Miami did take a fullback or two from that folded-up American blah, blah, blah league. But it's funny. Chandler Cox's biggest competition on the roster may end up being how willing the offense and really Brian Flores are to use Christian Wilkins in short yardage and out of that fullback role periodically. That may be Cox's biggest competition, because when Wilkins did get the chance to play offense at fullback and tight end in college for Clemson, he did a really good job of it and had some fun out of there, and already came out and said he'll play any position, anywhere, anytime if they'll put him on the field. So if Christian Wilkins is able to get in the ear of Brian Flores and get to play fullback, that may be Chandler Cox's biggest competition on this roster.
I didn't think of that, and I'll tell you what, if I see Christian Wilkins out there on offense, I may strangle you and the head coaching staff, because I will
love it.
Oh, I will hate it. Oh man, I don't want him doing anything except trying to stop people. And I
love when fat guys get the football. Give a fat guy the football, and I'm a happy man.
Oh, I do too. But not the 13th overall pick in the draft. So we'll see. Maybe a couple of years down the road, maybe if the Dolphins in the 2020 season are 10-3 and we want to have some fun, that's fine. But I want Christian Wilkins to be learning his job on defense first, because I know he'll play wherever and whenever for the Miami Dolphins roster. Me personally, Paul, I think when you look at Chandler Cox, I see him competing with Nick O'Leary for one roster spot, because even though O'Leary's a listed tight end, he's more of that fullback H-back type, and that's what I think we can expect to see out of Cox. And if O'Leary plays well enough to stay on the roster with presumably Dwayne Allen, Mike Gesicki, and Durham Smythe, I don't see them keeping 4 tight ends and a fullback either.
No, I don't see that either. And there's about 47 tight ends on the roster currently. So, yeah, it could be interesting. I mean, Cox does have a little bit of an uphill battle, especially given the fact that I know in our next segment we're going to be talking about a pretty dynamic running back to come in here and compete for that third tailback spot and a role. So he's going to have an uphill battle here, because positional flexibility is huge. But the fact that he can run a little bit of wildcat, can run a little bit of running back when called upon, and he did start 41 games over the last few seasons. So stranger things have happened.
Absolutely, and that will do it for our breakdown of Dolphins' 7th round pick, 233rd overall, Chandler Cox, the fullback out of Auburn. You can follow Paul and I on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and on Spotify. And if it's not on the right side and it's not on the left side, it is on the FinSide. Solo D, take us home.
It ain't the left side or the right side, and it must be the FinSide. It ain't the left side or the right side, and it must be the FinSide. Listen, Dolphins fans across the land all tuning in to see what Brian Cat and Paul about to